Understanding this slide, and particularly these golden rules, is going to be critically important to you, not just for Project 1 or all the data structures you build in this class or even in the exams, but also in your life. This is just the kind of thing that people expect programmers to know second nature. So to test your understanding so far, maybe you don't have it quite perfect yet, I have the following problem for you to consider. What I'd like you to do is look at this code and determine which of these 4 statements is true. Now ideally what you'll do is, you're with some other people right now, you'll first work alone on the problem, come up with an answer, then you'll argue with each other, and then you'll watch me give away the answer and debate what that means. So let's try that first step, and if you don't have anybody else around, that's fine, but really try and work on this problem by yourself without looking at the answer. So pause the video and I'll wait here patiently. Okay, so now that you've come up with your own personal theory, try and debate with others, and pause. And now finally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the answer. So let's consider the Java visualizer. This is just the result of clicking this link. So when I run this code, first thing that happens, a walrus gets built. I'll kind of skip that part. So after this walrus is created and this integer variable is set up, we call do stuff, right? So do stuff, when it is called, well, when we pass a parameter, that means that this function is going to have its own scope. It's going to have a variable called walrus and another called int, and we're going to copy the bits. So if you understand what copying the bits means, that means I get a box called W, another called X. This is 64 bits, this is 32 bits. These 32 bits corresponding to the number 9 get copied in, and these 64 bits corresponding to the address that new shouted out after it finished its job will be copied to W. So in other words, we have the same address sitting inside of these 2 boxes, which we represent in our visual metaphor using an arrow. So they're pointing at the same walrus. So in do stuff, we take this walrus and we subtract its weight, and that is going to affect the walrus that main had. Next up, we're going to say x equals x minus 5, and the scoping rules for Java are just like any other language that you might have learned in the past, say Python. So we're going to be referring to the do stuff's version of x. Now this is a 32-bit representation of the number 9, and not the address of the number 9. That's a very subtle but incredibly important distinction. It's the number, not the address of the number. And so what that means is if I say x equals x minus 5, we're actually just changing this number here, and it's not causing an effect to backwash its way into the main function's scope. So when the code finishes running, then we have a walrus pointing at we'll have the walrus variable pointing at a walrus that did lose weight, but x is unchanged. So hopefully that made sense. And if it didn't, make sure that you click on this link and make sure that you can follow all the steps, and maybe go back and rewatch one of the earlier pieces.